Hello everyone and welcome to my game review and preview, and we have an update about Sega. Good news! The new dedicated handheld video game console was finally revealed in Japan. And the gamers and retro gamers prepare for a new handheld game console. So this is about the upcoming dedicated handheld video game console after Sega Genesis Mini and Sega Mega Drive Mini. According to Polygon, and it says, Sega is reviving its 1990 handheld, the Game Gear, or the Sega Game Gear, as a mini retro console for the company's 60th anniversary. The Sega Game Gear Micro will be released in Japan this October, and it may be the strangest retro device yet. The system comes in 4 different colors, and each colorway comes with 4 Game Gear games built in. Each Game Gear Micro costs 4,980 yen, or about $46 US, and will be released in Japan on October 6, 2020. The Sega Game Gear Micro is tiny indeed. It's 80mm wide, or about 3.15 inches, and 43mm tall, or about 1.7 inches. The screen measures just 1.15 inches diagonally, about a third the size of the original Game Gear's LCD screen, and much tinier than the 2-inch screen on the Game Boy Micro, which is the last handheld console as part of Nintendo's Game Boy line. Here's a look at each color variation in which games, emulated by developer M2 by the way, are included in each. For the black Sega Game Gear Micro, 4 games are Sonic the Hedgehog, Puyo Puyo 2, Outrun, and Royal Stone. For the blue Sega Game Gear Micro, 4 games are Sonic and Tails, Gunstar Heroes, Sylvan Tale, and Baku Baku Animal. For the yellow Sega Game Gear, 4 games are Shining Force Gaiden, Shining Force Gaiden 2, Shining Force Gaiden, Final Conflict, and Nazo Puyo Aral no Ro, or Nazo Puyo Aral no Rocks. And last but not least, for the red Sega Game Gear Micro, 4 games are Megami Tensei Gaiden, Last Bible, Megami Tensei Gaiden, Last Bible Special, the GG Shinobi, and Columns, which is compete against Game Boy's Tetris. Playing those games on such a tiny screen would likely result in some eye strain, but Sega has a solution. The Big Window Micro Magnifying Glass, a recreation of the Big Window released for the original Game Gear. Getting your hands on the Big Window Micro requires pre-ordering all 4 Game Gear Micro units at the same store. The Sega Game Gear Micro will be powered by 2 AAA batteries, but can also be powered by a USB micro cable. Unlike the original Sega Game Gear, it has 4 AA batteries, but it's too bulky and it's very poor also. It features a built-in speaker and a headphone jack, so you can listen to your favorite music with sound effects with your favorite Sega Game Gear games. So that's why the Sega Game Gear Micro handheld console is a new dedicated handheld video game console after release of Sega Genesis Mini or Sega Mega Drive Mini last year. So if you like your favorite Sega Game Gear games for the retro gamers, now is your chance to play with your favorite Sega Game Gear games on the Sega Game Gear Micro. The Game Gear Micro is compared to the Game Boy Micro. The D-pad is very small and the 2 buttons as well. For the Game Boy Micro, the D-pad is almost big, as well as the 2 buttons and 2 shoulder buttons. According to Forbes, it says, Sega is celebrating its 60th anniversary in a big way. Or to be more precise, with a tiny device. It's released a mini version of its 90s handheld console, the Game Gear. The Game Gear Micro or the Sega Game Gear Micro will cost 4,980 yen, or about 45 or $46 US. According to Kotaku, it will be available in 4 colors: blue, yellow, red, and the original black. It will start shipping on October 6, 2020. If you opt for a bundle of all 4 consoles, you'll receive a new version of the Big Window attachment to help you see the teeny screen more clearly, which is the Big Window Magnifying Glass. The Sega Game Gear Micro is a new dedicated handheld video game console, and it's also the second dedicated video game console from Sega. Originally, the Sega Game Gear was released in Japan in 1990 in 1991 in North America, and it discontinued in 1997. But the original Game Gear doesn't have a third-party support, as well as too big, bulky, and it's very poor. The Game Gear was competitor against the Nintendo's Game Boy, but the Game Gear was very unsuccessful handheld video game console, while Nintendo's Game Boy is very popular handheld video game console. It is considered one of the greatest handheld video game consoles of all time. While for the Game Gear, it's also the greatest handheld video game console of all time. But it's very important because the Game Gear wasn't successful and it failed. According to Games Radar, and it says, Sega has revealed the Game Gear Micro, a teeny tiny version of the popular handheld first released in 1990, which is released the original Game Gear in Japan, in 1991 in North America. Not much is known about the mini console, but we do have a good idea of its size. Hint, it's really small. Instead of making a slightly smaller, more compact version of the admittedly bulky handheld, Sega decided the Game Gear Micro to be a fraction of the size of the original. Seen swallowed in the palm of the presumably normal-sized hand, Sega puts the emphasis on micro with their upcoming portable. The Game Gear Micro comes in 4 different color variations, and interestingly enough, each color comes with its own unique set of games. As I said earlier, Sega has 4 colors with 4 games each for the Sega Game Gear Micro. The Game Gear Micro launches in Japan October 6, and a single unit will set you back 4,980 yen, which roughly translates to $46. And if you don't want to miss out on any of the games, Sega is also selling the 4 different colors in a set that will cost 29,980 yen, or about $276, which is over $280. Further, a big window micro is releasing along the Game Boy Micro, allowing you to amplify the size of the screen for easier viewing and playing. Well, for me, I didn't play the favorite classic Sega games on the Sega Game Gear because I'm not a fan of Sega, but I am a fan of Nintendo because the others like your favorite Sega games for a long time, and somehow the retro gamers and other gamers to play your favorite classic Sega Game Gear games if you want to try. So Sega Game Gear Micro was released only in Japan on October 6, 2020, and is available for pre-order. Sega Game Gear Micro will be available for pre-order at your favorite retail stores or online stores in Japan, or on the launch day October 6, 2020. And also, the Sega Game Gear Micro wasn't announced and revealed in North America and Europe, because only Japan will be revealed for upcoming dedicated handheld video game console and the second dedicated video game console from Sega. Stay tuned for more updates from Sega of America and Sega of Europe. So once again, the Sega Game Gear Micro console will be available for pre-order at your favorite retail stores or online stores in Japan, or on the launch date October 6, 2020. Also, the Sega Game Gear Micro console comes in 4 different colors: black, blue, yellow, and red. So please be sure to pre-order the Sega Game Gear Micro before it's too late. And also, if you buy all 4 Sega Game Gear Micros, you can receive a new big window magnifying glass, or you can pick any color with or without big window magnifying glass. So do not miss out there, guys and gals. So and that concludes the Sega update featuring the Sega Game Gear Micro. So what do you think about the Sega update? Are you going to pre-order or pre-purchase the Sega Game Gear Micro in any color? Which color if you want for Sega Game Gear Micro? Is it black, blue, yellow, or red? Which 4 games in any color? Is it Sonic, Sonic and Tails, Mega Man Tensei Gaiden, Shining Force, Puyo Puyo 2, or others? Is the Game Gear Micro satisfied or unsatisfied? Please let us know in the comments below, and of course, If you like this video, please give a thumbs up, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and ring the bell for more game review videos, updates, game reactions including gameplay and unboxing. And you can also follow us on Twitter at CSP Game Review and Preview for more game review videos, game preview videos, updates, Splatfest results updates, gameplay, unboxing, and game reactions as well. And we will see you in the next Sega update, Sega Game Gear Micro update, and game review and preview video. And we will see you next time. And goodbye. And this is the Sega update featuring the Sega Game Gear Micro. And you're watching CSP Game Review and Preview.